Six aliens from Alpha Centauri's system are vacationing on Earth when they are stranded by a global pandemic. At a roundtable discussion and in an attempt to understand their new home, they construct a diagram. At the center is the now, with past and future radiating outward, informing the scale with which they assess the built environment. Their analysis leads to unexpected revelations.
From empty pizza boxes to Amazon cartons, cities are really struggling to keep up with the overflowing refuse of this stay-at-home era. I wonder if we can help them do anything about it?
Such a culture shock. They label things recyclable, but they don't get recycled in the end. They used to ship it all to China, but China got smarter.
They produced so much trash that at some point, there was a trash barge floating around at sea for 2 months because no one wanted to deal with it.
That's just a municipal solid waste. The amount of waste from construction and demolition is at least twice as much.
What if construction and demolition waste is banned from landfill?
I guess they'll start making houses out of their own waste. They're already crushing up and burning every piece of material they don't know what to do with. What if unbuilding replaces demolishing?
Why don't they take buildings apart to be reused instead of bulldozing everything then? Didn't they already think of that 10 years ago? This pavilion was made up of urban furniture that ultimately disseminated throughout the city.
So it's like community-owned furniture.
They do have techniques to make disassembly-friendly buildings.
What if the deconstruction of buildings is celebrated as much as their construction?
Ooh, yes, I came here a bit earlier than you guys and got to take part in a super fun art project they put up. A group got together to paint the brick facade gold before it was taken down. The bricks ended up in community landscaping around the city. You can see traces of that every time you pass by.
Oh yeah, there's a place where they take apart a building every 20 years in order to rebuild the sacred place and pass on building traditions.
But these days, they construct their buildings out of materials beyond wood as well, and some of which are really nasty stuff.
What if there's a corporate take-back system in place? What if manufacturers eliminate toxic materials from their pipeline because they're now responsible for their product's end of life?
Right? I think right before the pandemic, there was a protest where people would pile up all the designed to be obsolete, toxic stuff outside the corporate offices.
Perhaps if more of their buildings cleverly incorporate off-the-shelf components like that aim house, they could be taken back to the producer to be remanufactured. It would certainly induce innovation.
That's true. They could stand to upgrade their buildings to use less operational energy in the process as well.
What if instead of starting over every time, they design the maintenance and retrofit of buildings with as much enthusiasm as they do ground-up construction?
During the pandemic, so many offices have become ghost buildings. They can reimagine them as housing or find other ways to repurpose them.
So many of them are just glass boxes that rely on air conditioning. They could be retrofitted using passive heating and cooling methods that are appropriate for the region.
What if building audits are implemented every so often and environmentally conscious retrofits become a requirement?
In order to do that, they would need to truly take stock of their buildings. A corner piece of curved glass has fewer reuse cases than a regular rectangular piece.
Right? Their post-occupancy reviews should include equity and access issues besides building forums.
This is starting to sound like the role of their architects is not just designing buildings.
Yeah.
What if we resist the idea that architecture is a building? What if sustainability is a right and not a premium? What if we stop trying to build ourselves out of ecological collapse? And what if we move towards degrowth rather than growth?